I'm Carrington McDuffie. This is Star Seeds of Freedom. I'm in a great mood today because I have someone really fun to talk to on the podcast today. I'm going to tell you about him in just a moment, but first I got to tell you about a project I've mentioned before on this podcast a couple of times, and this is a Kickstarter campaign I'm doing for an incredibly cool pop song. This campaign is just about over. It ends Friday night. We're almost all the way there, and this song is already partly produced. There's a little ways to go on it still, and there isn't that far left to go on the campaign either. But I wanted to invite people in because I'm in the music business. A lot of you who come to this podcast probably know I'm in that crazy thing we call the music business, which we're going to talk about today. So this song in particular speaks to a new kind of music, and I wanted to offer people the opportunity to be part of the production of a new kind of music. So that's what the Kickstarter campaign is about. The link to that is in the show notes. And let's get on to my guest today, I'm going to ask him to really give us his bio because I know the broad strokes, but he'll be able to hit the salient details. And he has an amazing bio. He's a platinum record producer and mix engineer who I've had the great pleasure to work with more than once. And he will be part of the production of the vocals for this song that I'm working on that I just told you about. And this is Kevin Gutierrez, Assembly Line Studios, with me today. Kevin.
Hello. Hey,
Hi.
thanks for having me on again.
Yes.
How are you today?
I'm good. I thank you for making the time to be with me after a long day. We both had a pretty long day. I know you always have long days in the studio. So I really appreciate it.
It's always fun to talk and have a chat and talk about salient details. I like that word. That's high up on the list.
Yeah, I will tell people he has a gorgeous studio and there are platinum records on the wall. So give us a little backstory on yourself before we launch into the subject I really wanted to cover today.
Oh, so I've got to give my own
Well,
props, I guess. No,
yeah,
I'm
you
fine. I'm
kind
totally
of
fine.
do. Yeah, you kind of do. If
Um,
you don't mind, you'll do it better
no.
than I
Well,
do.
I'm here in Austin. I've been in the music business my entire life, literally. Um, I did go to college for something else at Virginia Tech, but I was quickly out of that. I don't own a suit nor a tie, and I've never been on a job interview. That's my claim to fame. There we go. But I'm here at Assembly Line Studios. This is my studio. Um, yeah, I've had the pleasure and the person that's the most what's the word I'm looking for? Blown away by some of the things I've gotten to do is probably me. Not as name droppers. I have worked with Shine Down, which was platinum. I had Anaba Solace, which we just had a number one record in Japan, official. It's hard to get a number one in any country nowadays. That was with an amazing team. Anaba, for those in the States that don't know, Anaba Solace, um, uh, Toshi Inaba is part of a band called the Bees, BZ. They're one of the largest selling artists in Japan. That record's with Stevie Salas, who is an amazing guitar player. So with Rod Stewart, was Mick Jagger's music director, worked on American Idol as the music director for 4 years. He's a good friend and actually lives close to me here. Tim Palmer, who's produced everybody from Ozzy and mixed Pearl Jam, David Bowie, mixed half of that record. So that was a wonderful team of people. OAR, that was on the Twilight soundtrack, which is what platinum. So I've had some awards and they feel good, but there's also people that have had their balls are completely full. Actually, I just referenced Tim Palmer or somebody. He's produced Ozzy, Bowie, like I said, mixed Pearl Jam's first record, him, which is a great band, Mission UK, which is one of my favorites. I knew him from those records in the kind of the goth rock world. It's fantastic records. So it is great to be around amazing musicians and great teams of people. And I've been very, very lucky and fortunate to do so. You kind of have to make your own luck and just stay in this business long enough and hope that you are able to work with some people. And I've been very, very lucky. I learn a lot from those people and continue to learn. I'm not done yet. I'm not old, but I'm not young either. I'll save you the math. I just turned 55 this week. So I can now get my $1 off of bacon and pancakes at IHOP. I can hit that senior menu, so I'm good to go.
Hmm.
But I feel like there's no place I'd rather be. So I said, I thank you for having me on. I know some people get burned out of being in the studio. They don't like being here as much, or they kind of give up on their hours and the grind. I love the grind.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll dovetail in what we get into. I don't take any of it for granted. Even after 30 years, I'm still extremely happy. That's not a put on. I love being here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love being in the studio. It's really my favorite place to be. I mean, I have to be on stage and other things, and there's the writing process, which I love, but I feel like I'm always probably happiest in the studio producing and creating, which we've gotten to do together, which is really great. Um,
Yeah, and you're
s-
fantastic. It's great to work with you as well, of
yeah,
course.
yeah, we're a good team. So everything that you were saying about, your luck, a lot of that does come down to persistence, as we know, because this business will kill you. And if you are someone who gives up easily, you're not going to last, right?
Right, right.
So you have
Yeah,
to
I mean,
be tough and flexible and persistent, wouldn't you say?
yeah, I would say, like anything, maybe this is a bit of a strong analogy, but it's a good analogy and I use it frequently. I was just talking to my friend Pat last night. He's a professional poker player, um, but he also went to Berkeley. I should say he's a musician first. Um, and we just got finished working on some tracks together. He plays poker professionally to make money. I also play poker. I did it for quite a long time. I've been playing for about 25 years. I enjoy it. But the conversation was this, because now he's launching his project, his band, his business. And I said, to operate at the top levels of music, it's like the NFL. You're going to have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people vying for those spots. Yes, we can name the top tier, the 0.001%, the people that are making multi-millions. But really, you want to grind long enough to get past college, high school ball, college ball, minor. There's not really a minor league in NFL. Maybe in hockey or baseball, there's minor leagues. But you have to have that killer mindset of like you're trying to work on music at the highest of levels
Hmm.
and enjoy the process. It's not for the faint of heart. And I'm also not trying to put too much importance on this and being like this is some self-important work. Sometimes music should be fun and creative. So I'm not trying to overplay it either. But that mindset of enjoying the grind and trying to work on the most creative, whatever that means to you in your
Hmm.
genre,
Hmm.
and the best, whatever that means. Music that you really have to have that mindset. And I think you fail, and I've seen people fail over and over and over for 3 decades that don't have that mindset. And if I'm honest with you, that's where I fail or go mental is when I kind of slip out of that mindset. Like
Hmm.
you're not really willing to put on the work. You're on autopilot for a little while. It doesn't happen to be often, but it absolutely, yeah, that's the human experience. It happens.
Sure.
Just staying in that mode of enjoying what you're doing and enjoying the grind because validation feels good, especially after obscurity, doubt, and imposter syndrome and whatever. But you realize that the work and the music is really what it's all about. That sounds like such a phrase and a cliche,
No, but of
and it's
course that's
absolutely not.
it.
Right? It's
And
absolutely not. Right?
no, and if it isn't about the music for you, you're gonna have a strange time, I guess. I don't know. There are a lot of ways to skin a cat, I guess, but from the point of view of a writer and the creator, for me, it goes in cycles. So the grind doesn't always get it done, but there are always aspects of it that require the grind that aren't the super creative part. But what I wanted to talk about today, which I should have probably prefaced this podcast episode with, is how the award system works in the arts, but specifically in music. Like, what's it really for? How does it really work? How does it feel? And, I know what my theme is, and I think I know what yours is, but I wanted to touch on this because I think people are at the top of the music business, they're very guided by those awards, and there's a lot to that. And then some of it's total politics, a lot of it is. But and then the new music that comes up that doesn't have that structure to support it, people, it still needs to be discovered. So I wanted to get your reflections on that, and then a couple other questions I wanted to hear what you had to say about.
But I think you nailed it. Right? That there's the politics side, which is very real,
Hmm.
and then there's the what does it feel like side, and the grind. Um, which are all very, very different things, right? I think that probably the most interesting, if I was listening on the other side of this, wouldn't be about how does it feel, because um, of course it feels good. It's a stroke to the ego, right? I
Hmm.
think that if we're honest with ourselves, it feels good at first, but that high fades really, really fucking fast.
See, that's
Like
what I think is interesting. Yeah.
it's really fast. It's like as soon as you get it, it's gone.
Yeah.
Gary Newman, I have to make this quote up a paraphrase, so I'm going to mess it up, but I'll at least get his general idea. Gary Newman, he's the guy that did that song Cars, was big in the '80s. Here in my car, it's
Yeah.
the only way to the synth pop guy.
Oh,
He's
love it.
still grinding away.
Uh-huh.
His career has had ups, downs, sideways movement. He plays big places now, and he's still as popular as ever. He can still sell out big places, plays festivals. But he said this. I'm paraphrasing. It's like success is like a speeding train. As soon as you get on it, it shakes you off, and you don't realize that you were on it until you're looking and it's way past you. And then you spend the rest of your career running or chasing that train as fast as you can to try to recapture that fleeting moment. Because as soon as you got it, you don't even know that it was there. I've heard that from so many
It's
people.
amazing. I don't know. It
And look,
makes me laugh just because it's
you know,
so true and so ironic and so out of
right.
control. But sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. And that's true for sports. It's true for actors and actresses. It's true for
Mhm.
musicians. It's true for anything that has any type of fame or anything like that associated with it, right?
So, do you find, now, I have no platinum records, but I've had my successes and my recognition and whatever.
It
What
doesn't
I
matter.
find, and I wonder if this is true for you, as soon as like you might have the illusion that that's what you're working for, but you're really not. If you're doing the real thing, you're not working for the
Hmm.
prize, you're working for the thing, the work. You're working for the work. And then as soon as something reflects back, like, oh, you got added to this playlist, oh, you got number one in college radio, blah, blah, whatever it is, I almost deflect it as soon as I hear it. It's very strange, and I don't usually take the moment to go, wow, that's really great, and be in that moment. It's almost like I brush it off and I don't even know that it happened, and then I might look at it later and go, oh yeah, that was cool. That I should feel good about that, and I should mention it. You're supposed to put it on social media, and I just kind of blow it off, and I'm not sure what that's about, and I wonder what you have to say about that. Maybe you need to
You nail
psychoanalyze me.
you.
I don't know.
No, no, no. It's like, listen, I owe you 165 for the hour now. It's like because what you just said is so spot on. Well, look, awards are an outcome, right?
Hmm.
The grind, what we just call it, the creativity is what the practice is. The awards are just what happens afterwards, and you
Yeah,
don't have any control over those. The joy is, for me and most people, is always in the making,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's the part that's fun. The outcome is something different. Um, you touched on two thoughts that I had. One, which was this sense of like not being able to internalize it. What you just said, I have that exactly. Um, I've
I
had it
think I
many
reject
times.
it. I even
Yeah,
reject it.
I was just going to say that word. There's a part
Really?
of me that rejects. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
What?
I,
What?
I,
What?
I,
Why do? Why? What is that?
I have no idea. I mean, I mean, I can give you a specific setup, but I don't even probably need to. Like at the top of this year, which is not that long ago, February, March, April, so maybe 3, 4 months ago, but a number one record in Japan. Um, we kind of had a feeling it would probably go number one because the team of people were really positioning it. The last record we had worked for on that Anavasalas project went to number two. And so they had learned some things about how to tweak the system. We'll get into the
Mm-hmm.
politics side.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole different headspace. So they had kind of tweaked it and they said, we know when to release, what to do and not to do to get this to number one record. Um, and then they were on the cover of Rolling Stone, Japan. It hit number one as expected, which was also a little strange thing that you're expecting for it. You have to plan for it. It's not just
Yes,
an
right?
accident,
No, it's
right?
not like, oh, we lucked out, we finally made it, or whatever.
A
Yeah.
lot of people think that there's like, oh my gosh, it went viral. And yeah, it does happen, like getting hit by lightning. It does happen on occasion. But most of the time, These things are extremely well orchestrated and planned. And then the rejection side, which is I got it, and I'm like, people are like, congratulations, that's cool, whatever, and I'm like, I'm gonna have a chicken sandwich for dinner tonight and watch
Exactly.
Netflix. So I'm the same person, right? So it sounds ridiculous. I had a friend in LA. It was an acquaintance, on a circle of friends that I was with, and they were a like not a showrunner because that's high up the list, but they were basically part of crews in LA that worked on movies. Went to this person's house, and they had this little it was like this little it's like this little boxy thing that had stuff in it, and there's like little trinkets and stuff,
Mm.
and it said, "Congratulations, blah blah person's name, on the success of the movie. There's something about Mary." For those who don't know that there's something about Mary was just a hysterical
It was a
comedy.
comedy, romantic comedy or something.
Yeah, like a romantic comedy. Was it who's in that? Renee Zellweger and anyways,
Okay.
huge movie, really fun, really. Stiller was in it. But I asked her this. I said, "Oh my God, that's so cool! Like, yeah, this pen, something up Mary pen, like some swag that you could only get if you're on the inside of the movie."
Hmm.
And she says, "Yeah, like I got a whole wall and boxes of stuff of all these movies that we worked on. Here's the thing: you never know which movies you're working on are going to be successful and which are going to tank. While you're working on the project itself, the movie could tank." That was kind of a kitschy comedy, and kind of like it became like a cult classic. But for all of those movies, you could be working on that movie, enjoy the movie process or whatever she's doing, and the humongous team of people that it takes to make a movie, and that movie could flop. Does it mean it's not a good movie? Well, of course not, right? Like
Yeah.
we don't even need to talk about that. It could be an amazing movie and do well. It could be a terrible movie and do well, and all the various combinations thereof. But I thought it was interesting what she said, which was like, you work on the movie, and then later on, if it becomes popular, now it was cool, right? When we're working in the studio and working on records, you're just trying to make a cool song. You never know how really it's going to work out. This record might have done well. It could have flopped. Other records that I've worked on could do well or flop. You never know. So to me, the joy is in making the record. That's
Yeah.
always it.
Yeah.
Rick Rubin said, so, again, I'll paraphrase, but he was asked about working with everybody from Slayer to Metallica to Dixie Chicks to Beastie Boys to Johnny Cash, and they said, well, how do you account for these records resonating with so many people? And he goes, I don't. I could care less. The more you put yourself first as an artist, and you really don't care about how people perceive that, the better you're doing for them. It's such a paradox. It's
Well,
like the more we try to make a record for somebody else, the worse it gets. The more we say, we don't care what anybody thinks, this is cool, like this idea's got a vibe. The more we serve ourselves and what we like, the higher probability it is that other people will like it.
well, that's because it'll be authentic. And I think people
Right.
respond to either there's a lot of brainwashing and people respond to really high-end production and a lot of programming, like a lot of money that goes into the top stuff. But that aside, I think authenticity, leads to
Hmm.
that individual sound that makes something really pop to a
Hmm.
person's psyche or ear. And that's to me where it gets exciting, regardless of what style or genre of music you're dealing with.
Right. Right, because we're not dealing in the case of music, but it could be true for movies or writing or a piece of art. You're not making widgets, right? You're making
Right.
something where you're in music. It's a genetic trick. You're vibrating a speaker that makes airwaves go that hit your ears to interpret that to
Mhm.
elicit an emotion. That the emotion could be, I've talked about this before. It could be you want to laugh, you want to cry, you want to hug your mother, your father, significant other. You want to scream. You want to drag somebody's face across the cement.
You want
You
to
want to drive.
dance?
You want to dance, right? You want to drive your car really fast.
Oh, yeah.
Go to the gym and pick up heavy objects,
Yeah.
right? Whatever it is, you're trying to elicit an emotion or make a connection. The worst music is music that doesn't do any of those things.
but
What does an award have to do with any of those?
right,
Nothing.
no. And what, so if setting out to do that, I mean, I'm sure there are writers who do, but I don't. I don't set out to do, I just write what comes, and then once I'm a certain distance into it, of course, I'm working
Hmm.
it to steer it where I want it to go. But that's the authenticity piece, right? So
Hmm.
the subject that I was wanting to talk with you about, which we are covering, and thank you for that, is that question of the reward, and like you were saying, or award. And what's and there's a difference between reward and, because the reward is the doing it, like you're saying, but the awards are, well, I think they're there to create structure within the business, to create a structure for promotion,
Right.
infrastructure. There has to be that. Um, but
But they're great. Yeah, they're great for business, right? Because look,
yeah, exactly.
here's the paradox. Here's the thing that I've learned and continue to learn, and it's not any great wisdom. It's just the experience, right? It's both at the same time. They mean absolutely everything, and they mean nothing, and both are true.
Hmm.
Here's how they mean everything. After I got my first platinum record, I worked with OAR on one song for the Twilight soundtrack. The movie Twilight was global,
Yeah.
right? Soundtracks sell nothing typically. They're very low in sales. So working on a soundtrack and then having the soundtrack go ballistic, that was the strength of the movie. Twilight was a cultural phenomenon, right? There's one, two, three. The part that's everything is I was booked solid for a year after that without lifting a finger. Why? I didn't become a better producer overnight. I didn't become any magically cooler and have better jokes and know how to EQ kick drums any better. I'm the same person because people view these and they have importance in society and people view you differently.
Yes.
And there's a part of that which is true, right? Because you're vetted, you know how to work with large teams of people or small teams of people, and you know how to put out quality product and music. So there's part of that which is vetting, right? Which you say, this guy must know what he's doing. That's
Yeah.
basically what it says.
Sure.
So that's real. So that's everything. So they mean something for sure. If you're the artist and you win a Grammy, your sales go through the roof. Why? Because people say, this must be a good record,
Yeah.
right? So
And
that's
people
real.
hear, yes, that's real. And people
Right,
hear about it. People hear about it as
right.
promotion,
That's right.
right?
That's right. And yet it means nothing because that's not what music is about at all. It's great for business, not much of anything else.
Yeah.
It strokes your ego as a human being for a very, very short period of time,
Yeah.
if at all, and it can actually be destructive in a way too. You can get caught up in the chase of it.
Hmm.
I certainly have.
Hmm.
Who doesn't? Like this feeling of like you're never quite enough. I think part of that's healthy. It's like I call and again we're back to this concept, the NFL level of music. Like whatever I do isn't good enough. I want to keep pushing.
So the
Um,
striving part that it draws
that's
out.
healthy,
Yeah.
right? I think that's healthy,
Hmm.
or at least I frame it for myself to
Well,
be healthy, and I love that part.
I think it absolutely is and can be. And then if you're chasing after ego strokes, you're just going to fall on your face eventually, I
Right?
think. I don't know. I used
Yeah,
to
I
do
think
a lot
so.
of spoken word performance, solo spoken word performance, and I did, kind of a quirky, wacky thing. Anyway, and I had these poems that I was reading poetry, which sounds maybe boring, but it was very entertaining. Anyway, I just remember one piece that I did was about, I would sometimes write about the process of being there on the stage performing, or in one case, that there was, I just remember a line in it that I put about somewhere else poetry prizes are being handed out. And I was like in this other room, right? I was in the
Hmm.
lab creating the work. Somewhere else, poetry prizes are being handed out. I can hear the vague stippled echo of applause, but it was far
Wow,
away. Yeah, and
wow, that's deep.
yeah, and that's where I've worked a lot. And I think this can happen to so I think this can happen to the artist a lot because a lot of us need that solitary experience, and we can kind of overdo that sometimes. Whereas you got to get your ass out there and get hired.
Yeah,
So you
I
don't
mean,
have that luxury of like being overly introverted and getting buried by your own,
but
ideas or whatever.
well, you just touched on it, kind of dovetails into what I was just talking about, exactly what you said, which is the award can motivate you for sure. The chase of that award, the carrot on the stick, so to speak, makes you run faster on the treadmill. That's okay. But if you start creating it for that,
Hmm.
this is the paradox again. If you start creating to get that, you almost will probably never get it, at least in my 30 years and the stories that I've heard and the people that I've encountered, myself included. The more you try to chase it, the more it just doesn't work. Um,
And
so that's,
right, but
that's
so
interesting, you know?
yes, absolutely. So, and there are people, and I'm going to speak again from the point of view of the artist. There are artists at all levels who are completely unknown and might be mind-blowingly great, and people who are at a much higher level who are, okay, but they've gotten there. Um, and it always strikes me as it's not a mystery how that happens because, as you were pointing out about getting that number one record, there are steps to take. There's timing, there's people, there's teams, there's channels. There's a stepwise process, right? It's not a mystery,
Correct.
but
Correct. Like,
and
yeah,
it
go
takes
ahead.
money. Well, it takes money, and you got to have an idea. You got to have a concept. You got to have the artist. You got to have the team, and it definitely takes money. But then there is this other piece that, there's all this unknown music, and certainly mine is some of that, where it isn't anything to do with the chops or the talent or the freshness or whatever of the artist, but you still got to get on that escalator somehow. And,
Mhm.
to me, the challenge has been how to, because I'm real conscious of my perimeter. And so, how my boundaries, my perimeter around people, just because of a lifetime of experience of whack jobs
Yeah.
and how you can get sucked into stuff and whatever. Um, so, how to maintain that proper perimeter and still be in the system without getting eaten up by the system, because I have seen
Well, I think
that.
about it like, well, you and I have talked about this before. In my mind, it has turned into this. It's the two box system. Box one is what you create: music, art, writing, your movie, making chairs, building a table, whatever. That's the fun part. That's the creative part. That's box one. Put a lid on it. A lot of people think if they make something really cool in box one, a lot of people on planet Earth are going to go, and I like what's in box one. I want all that and sell me that. Which is not how it works at all. You've got what's box one, that's the creative side, you put a lid on it. What's in box two is how you sell what's in box one. It doesn't matter what's in box one, whether it's a salsa record, a metal record, an alternative record, a record that's, frogs croaking and people throwing their guitars down the stairs. It doesn't matter what's in box one. How you sell it is important,
Yeah.
right? And so
Yes.
a lot of people, myself included, got stuck in box one because I just didn't know any better. I didn't grow up in New York, LA, Chicago, Atlanta. I didn't grow up in a music town. I grew up in Virginia,
Right.
right outside of Washington, D.C. I wish somebody would have told me this earlier, which is whatever you have in here, before we even start working on a record, I don't care what this, I don't do salsa, but a salsa record or an alternative record or a metal record, a rock record, a pop record, an electronica record. I don't care what we build in here. We can make something cool. The systems to sell it are all the same. It's like you have to know this system.
Yeah.
You've got to have your promotion. You've got to
Yeah.
seed your song. You've got to know where to put it. You've got
Hmm.
to, have the team of people around it, and that team might be
Exactly. You got to have
you,
the right
your
team, and the
a
team
team
has
of
to,
one person.
right, and that team has to, ke- they're key people in the most key positions, and those people especially have to really be psyched about it. They have to really be
Yeah.
excited and really believe in it. That's so
Well,
important. I mean, you can hire
I might
anyone, but
be correct.
you differ? Do you differ?
Oh, well, I would
Maybe
say
that's
this.
from
I know
my
people are
point of
not
view.
psyched. I would say this. I know people that are not psyched about it at all, and they crush it and make their millions in music because they're just not emotional about it. They're selling a product.
Right.
Listen, you even hear this word. At the beginning, that word sounded offensive to me. It still sounds offensive to me.
Huh.
Like we think we've got a really good product here. This record's going to do well. Record. Like the first time I heard that, I about went out of my skin. Now I understand that headspace. If you change the analogy, you and I have talked about this before as well. The analogy makes way better sense if you think about it like food. If I go to the kitchen and make a hamburger and it's the world's best hamburger, and I've got the right amount of seasoning and I've got some type of special sauce and the best ingredients, this is the world's best hamburger. It tastes amazing. There's a lot of hamburgers out there. What I'm not poised to do is sell $1 billion worth of hamburgers like McDonald's, right? So I have an amazing hamburger. I don't understand. My hamburger tastes better than McDonald's. McDonald's is crap. It actually makes you sick if you eat it. Like, it's not even food. There's so many preservatives, blah, blah, whatever. My product is better than McDonald's, but I'm not set up to sell it. And the inverse is true. People will say, oh my gosh, that product is crap. It sells well, or this product is really good and sold nothing.
Absolutely.
Why?
So
because they didn't have a food truck, they didn't have a storefront,
Right.
They don't have a business. Music is the same. When you change the analogy, it makes better sense. People get so mad, and I've worked with artists all the time. They kind of have a chip on their shoulder that they're not doing well, and they're like, "I think this record is good," and I'm like, yeah, this record is good. You got a good tasting hamburger. You're not set up to sell your hamburgers. If you had a food truck and you didn't invite anybody to your food truck or opening night of your restaurant, nobody came. How is music any different?
Well, and I
And the
think
answer is it's not.
no, it's not. Well, and I think the artist is often the last person to know that. I will just say regarding the promotion and the key person being excited or whatever, that's really from my point of view.
Right.
Because of course you can hire a professional to do any kind of job, but for me, because the whole thing is one. There's the creative part, but the promotion actually can take a lot of creativity too. I just like to work with people who are excited about what we're doing because then the vibe is right, the vibration, the energy, the high, it's a high frequency thing. Because I've done both. I've worked with just kind of a gun for hire that didn't care, and they did a perfectly good job. But I had so much more fun working with people who thought there was something special going on, and then I in turn am inspired by their
Of course.
inspiration. So,
That's true. But that's no different. One, totally agree. Of course, now you're talking to the vibrational level, the higher
yeah,
level
yeah,
of how do you conjure something, those emotions, and pack them into a song that makes people feel them. But so completely agree. I will add to that. That's no different than if I've got my car and it's not running, and I take it to the shop on Friday afternoon, and it's 4 o'clock. And one guy at shop one is like, "It's 4 o'clock, man. I'm trying to get home to see my wife and kids. I've been here all week. I don't really like this. It's like this is going to cost you $1,000 to fix." I take it to shop two at 4:05. Go 5 minutes down the road, and the guy's like, "I can't believe you have this type of car. This is amazing. I was supposed to get home to my wife, but this is amazing. Okay, this is going to be $1,200. It's going to be more expensive. I love these cars. I'm going to do a good job for you. I'm excited. I'm going to make sure it's done correctly. I can't believe you bought this type of car, and this is amazing. I'm going to pay the guy $1,200
for
every
sure.
day of the week."
Yeah, for
Music
sure.
is absolutely that way
hmm
because now you've got an emotional packaging around that. So
So,
just on the mechanics side, of course you want to work with people that are
yeah,
excited. Of
yeah.
course, I totally agree.
But it is, as you say, it's a package. It's a product that's being packaged. So, you were saying it's really hard to get a number one record in any country. Um, and would you say that the main reason for that is the absolute glut of material that's on the market at any given time, especially not actually this time of year. This is kind of a little bit slower. Um, yeah, speak
Uh,
to that. Would you? What?
sure. Well, that doesn't help matters.
Yeah.
That's absolutely doesn't help matters. But let's reframe it. Go back 40 years ago. Was it easy to have another number one record there with less glut? Uh-uh.
Yeah.
You had to be signed to a major. There were less gatekeepers. You had to pay to have your money on the radio, so people heard it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
All the payola schemes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, you pay to put people would. I was talking to somebody the other day. They didn't know what payola was.
Oh,
So I
someone
know
in the
what it is. It
music
feels
business or?
yeah. So yeah, where people would go around from the record company, go to all the various radio stations and pay people $20, $100, $1,000
Cash.
lavish gifts to play this record.
Yeah.
And they said, "Well, I wasn't going to play your record, but for a car, I'll play it a bunch of times." The more you play it in that locality, people hear it. "Yeah, that song's okay." The next time you hear it, "I think I like it." The next time, "I like it." If I
Yeah.
play 10, it's internalized.
Yeah,
One of the
it's
strongest,
familiar and it's, oh,
right?
here we go again. Yay, I know that song.
E- exactly. So that's business, but that's no different than selling a hamburger, right? It's like, hey, here's a free coupon. Come to our new hamburger shop. Invite your friends standing on a corner. Here's free samples. You know, you sell how you. That's box two. You sell hamburgers the same way that you sell music.
Hmm.
So reframing it that way for artists, I think, is helpful to say, look, if in doubt, change the medium. Don't think about your music like music. Think about it like a hamburger
Hmm.
or a chair. How
Hmm.
would you go out and sell if you've got a new chair? You're the chair designer and you made 15 new chairs. How would you sell them? Would you sell them online? Would you sell them, through a shop? Would you license them to a furniture shop? Would you get like whatever the case may be? That's a real helpful twist because people think if they make a good enough chair, somebody's going to buy it, and it's not the case. You've got to go find the buyer of that chair. On the one hand, it sucks because you're done with box one. The lid is on box one. You're done with the creative side and you're into this. I will tell you, after 30 years, I love this box. I still hate this box. I hate it. I don't enjoy it.
Oh.
Um,
Mhm.
I do it and I
So,
know what it's about.
right. But
That's
don't you
all.
enjoy, okay, what do I like about box number two? Well, I like things like radio interviews. I love doing radio interviews.
Hmm.
And that goes in box number two because I love DJs because I appreciate them so much. And I'm talking about independent radio, college and community radio, the lower rungs on the ladder, but they're really awesome people. DJs really actually listen to music.
Right.
And so I really enjoy those. So there are parts of that, like doing this, talking with you. I like presenting. I like, that part of it. I'm not as crazy about uh, well, I don't know. I guess the more, what would I say? Just the less fun parts of it. I don't even
Well,
mind.
I would reframe it this way.
Okay.
A quick pause. Still agree with you. I would just change a little bit of the framing on that.
Okay.
I would put what you said, the stuff that was fun. You said, well, this is box two because it's selling. That's still box one to me, right?
Okay.
And again, I get it that maybe it's how you think about it. Perhaps it's semantics, but for instance, in box one is the creation of the music.
Hmm.
This is the fun part for 40 minutes. You know, it wasn't fun to me getting my laptop out, setting these lights
Oh,
up.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right? Okay. Let's say you're playing a show, right?
Hmm.
The show, that 45-minute set, the hour set, or whatever it is on the rung, whether you've got a 30-minute opener, whether you're the headliner at an hour 30. So that's the fun part. You know, it's not fun getting off stage, dealing with catering. Did you even get a meal? Going back to the hotel, the other 24 hours in the day,
Oh
right?
God, yes.
But so people say, but the show is the sell, right?
Yeah.
This is the sell, but this is the fun part, right?
Yeah.
The stuff
Yeah.
around it would be, let's just say this was a podcast tour now, and you're trying to get on 50 different markets. You know what is fun? This. And I'm enjoying this, and this is
Hmm.
fun.
Hmm.
What's probably less fun for you is the calls that you have to make to get on in this podcast, broadcast in 50 different markets. Well, now
Yeah.
you're in global because this is one got the internet. But if you're
Right.
really trying to target different markets,
Sure.
the 50 people that you got to call, the 120 phone calls that you have to make, that's box
Yeah.
two. But the podcast itself, that this hour or 40 minutes or whatever this is
Hmm.
that's still box one to me.
Hmm.
So in
Hmm.
my mind, it's like, yes, the enjoyable things, and maybe I'm just shifting boxes. This is the fun stuff. But you just said it, and I agree with you. You go, well, this is the fun part. And that may vary for people. Some fans don't really like playing live. They just don't.
Hmm.
But that's the sell. Some guys live for it.
Hmm.
I still
Yep.
enjoy being in the studio. This is the fun part to me.
Oh, I love being in the
I'm running.
studio. We established
Yeah,
that already, but I have to say that
yeah,
again. I'm
yeah. This is
trying
the
to come
fun
up with
part.
reasons to be, oh, don't we need to do a 25th song for whatever? In fact, I really do tend to produce more than I release because, and this speaks to the same, we're not talking about really the award system, but it's still part of it with the promotion system that I love to create it and then getting around to releasing it. It's not that I don't like releasing it because I really do. I like the parts on the level that I'm at. I like, for the most part, the stuff that I have to create to make that release go forward. But there's only so much of that you can do, right? You got to time that right. You can't be releasing stuff back to back. People are going to burn out and not be interested. There has to be something special about it. So let's say you even did 4 singles a year, which would be a lot, but you can. I've done it. Um, that I could create a lot more than 4 singles in a year. And so it kind of gets backed up, and there's that relationship as well for me. Um,
Well, again, I change it again. Change it to a hamburger. You're the cook in the kitchen, and I am the cook in the kitchen. That I love cooking. I get in the kitchen, and it's fun to cook. It's fun to cook a hamburger, a pasta dish, steak, chops, whatever. You cook all this food, and then you go, "Wow, wouldn't it be really nice if I could just cook for a living? I love to cook." And you go, "But if I cook too many steaks and burgers and chops and tacos in my kitchen, who's going to eat them?
mhm,
Like do you need a storefront? Do you have to go set up a food cart? You've got to actually set up a restaurant to sell that food. It's exactly the same. By
mhm.
changing that medium, I think it's an extremely helpful mental exercise because you just said it. You go, I love creating music. You love to cook.
Yeah,
And by
exactly.
cook,
And but
we mean create songs.
I mean, and I even like releasing it too, and this has to do with, um, the way the release of music that has changed a lot, right?
Right.
Because, you could do a record, do an LP, let's say it's got 10 songs on it, and you want to release those singles individually, and not maybe not all 10, but let's say you want to release 5 or even 6 of them before you release the whole album so that each one gets its attention, and then the album is a whole separate thing. I mean, it's the combined thing, but it's a separate thing. So you have to have the time to release those singles before you can drop the record. At least again on the level that I'm on. So and maybe that's the promotion people that I've worked with. That's the track that we've been on, and that could be done differently. There's a
That's the million
time.
dollar question, isn't it? That's the million dollar
Yeah,
question.
well, there's a time frame no matter what you do, right? There's a time, like, and how many records, because I know people who will say, musicians that I know, especially musicians who are more musician than songwriter, and they'll say, I've got 42 songs, and I'll be like, wow, I don't have 42 songs. I'm really picky about what I take all the way to the studio, right? I'm picky about what I even finish writing. And so
It's
I know,
exactly like the customer that comes to the restaurant and says, "Hey, I love your restaurant. Give me everything on your menu. I want
mhm.
all 42 of your burgers." You will find those people. There's just not a lot of them. If you
Well,
want, here's a burger, here's a burger, here's a burger, you start throwing your burgers at someplace. You know where they're going to land on the street, and
right,
somebody's going to run over
right.
them with their car. You
Right.
know,
So let's say this person with the 42 songs, and I've talked to so many guys with this kind of conversation, and so they got to narrow it down to like 24 because they're going to do a double
oh my
album
gosh.
with 12 songs on each record. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's too much material. That's not going to
Well,
fly.
you
That's
see the
like,
song. You see the song with 10 seconds. Like you only got one set of ears. Well, you and I've talked about this before. You can do a whole record and we think it's amazing in here and we pat ourselves on the back. Wow, this is amazing. And this sounds like the most creative, batshit crazy record that anybody's ever heard. This is the best thing since sliced bread. You do it. And as soon as it leaves this medium, gets onto somebody on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, their webpage, whatever, it changes because you're disconnected from it and the listener has got to choose to actively listen or you really get drawn in with a hook. Like think about a Bjork record, how crazy some of her records are.
mm,
And then you put them on the background and you go, that's cool, I like it or not,
mhm,
I guess.
mhm,
It's like first off, I love Bjork, but
mhm.
those are crazy records in that way of you're trying to create something, and if it's too much material, you can't hook people. We seed songs now with 10 seconds. And by seeding a song, it's just like launch. Let me reframe it. Like by seeding a song, that's the promotional time before you release a single. Much like probably a better analogy would be like a trailer for a movie, right?
Yep.
If the movie's 2 hours long, You're going to give people a 20-second trailer, then a 30-second trailer, then a minute trailer. At the beginning, the seeding may literally be just the name of the movie. Think about how The Matrix was seeded. It was the most amazing run up. It was just billboards all across LA and other cities that just said, "What is The Matrix?"
Yeah.
That's
Right.
all it was.
Right.
There was no movie trailer. There was nothing.
Right.
That
Well,
was a billboard. What
that
is The
was a
Matrix?
yeah, that was a brilliant and very particular ad campaign for sure. That was a
Right.
very
And then you get little snippets. Then you got the 10-second version, the 30-second version, the minute long trailer. People on Netflix, you'll see teaser 30 seconds, trailer one, a minute, trailer two, a minute, right? That they're literally seeding you on Netflix, but
yeah.
they just dropped it all at the same time.
Yeah.
Seeding music is the same. Now we see the reel on Facebook, YouTube ads, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, a 10-second clip. Just da 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 da. Sometimes the best seeds are sometimes 6 to 7 seconds because 10 seconds is still a long time. So
Yes,
back to
today's
the art.
audience. Yeah.
That's right. So think about an artist with 42 songs or 24 songs or 10
Yeah.
songs or four
Yeah.
songs. That's still too much. We need 10 good seconds.
Yeah.
10
Well,
seconds, run that for a week. Week two, now you're at 15, 20 seconds. Maybe they've got the hook. Week three, now they've got 30 seconds and the link to it. You drop the song and then you re-promote it for the next 2 weeks. And then you're on to the next thing.
so
So
does
maybe you get
is
2 months. Yeah.
so this is box two that you're talking now, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, not
It's
your
awful.
favorite part.
It's
It's
awful.
awful. Exactly, it's awful. But it has to
It's
be done, or
awful.
how's anyone ever gonna, I don't write for other people like we were saying, but how are they gonna, I'm not gonna be in a echo chamber. So,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I don't know. I haven't won awards for my music. I've won awards for my voice acting, for my poetry, not for music, but I haven't submitted it in that way. Like it hasn't been up for that. So whatever, I don't know.
Here's
But
the worst part about awards, and I can say this from both sides. And from this side, if I've got 10 awards, I want 100 because I know most of my friends that I in my circles actually have more awards than me. I'm happy to have a couple and have some name droppers to work on. That's totally fine. I would not change it for the world at all. I always tell people it's like the best analogy I can think of is like that big wheel and like the wheel of the Price is Right or something, but in Las Vegas or something, or go to a carnival, they've got a wheel and you spin the wheel and it goes click, 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 click.
it's
There's
the
a
Wheel of
hundred numbers on
Fortune.
that wheel.
Hmm.
Right. Like Wheel of Fortune, exactly. But on this wheel, instead of maybe 30 or 40 pegs, there's 100. It's a wheel with 100 little slots.
Hmm.
There's one 100, and right next to it are two tens, and everything else is a one or a zero.
Hmm.
And you spin that wheel, click, 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 zero. Click, 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 zero.
Yeah.
I got a 10. I definitely did not get a 100. I know some of my friends hit 100s.
Uh-huh.
Would I spin that wheel again? Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. But
Uh-huh.
here's the thing that, again, I think we all inherently know this. This is the thing that's funny. You already know this with or without awards. I know it with or without awards. The awards mean nothing, right? But here's the paradox. It's like an itch that needs to be scratched. Before I had awards, I gotta have them. You have this craving for something you want to achieve,
Hmm.
and then once you get them, you can say definitively they mean nothing.
Hmm.
But until you have it, you cannot stop wanting to scratch that itch. It's impossible.
Hmm.
So the paradox, again, the thing that both things are true at the same time.
Yeah.
You inherently know before you have them that they're meaningless. And when you get there, you can confirm that they're meaningless. And the journey along the way is you cannot stop wanting to get them. I have awards and I want more.
Hmm.
That's all.
Hmm.
But there's nothing wrong with that in and of itself. But yeah, they're absolutely meaningless to your daily experience
Right.
and to
Right.
being fulfilled as a human being. Nobody needs to tell you that. But boy, I had somebody tell me, this was a guy that worked with me for a long time. He's a great engineer, one of my assistant engineers. I was trying to tell him, this who's considerably younger than me, and he was frustrated at the types of projects that he was working on or that I had him working on with me.
Hmm.
Um, he came into the studio one day and said, basically, like, I don't like this project that I'm working on. And I said, so?
So
Do a
exactly,
killer job on it.
and
Right. And he says, yeah, but you're working on something that's really cool because it's like, I was working on a bigger record at the time. And he says, I want to work on that. That's the type of stuff I want to work on.
mm.
And I was like, well, that attitude's going to get you about nowhere, buddy.
Yeah, just about
But
nowhere. In fact, you're fired.
his point, you're right, right? Then that's true. But the point is, there's a part of truth to what he was saying. He basically was saying, yeah, Kevin, you can say they're meaningless because you've got it.
Yes, of course, of
And I was
course.
like, there's a shred of truth to that.
Yes, of course there is. That
Yeah,
you can't dismiss it
right,
until you know what it is. And I think
right.
if you dismiss it out of hand before you've reached that, that's probably your ego going, "Oh yeah, that doesn't matter," but it's really you're saying it doesn't matter because you don't have it and you haven't won it, and so you're going to say it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I think there's
It's
probably
both are
some of
true.
that.
Both are true. Yeah,
Yeah.
both are true.
I frankly,
But
I never think about awards or awards. Like I said, I've won them. And it's great. Uh, but it's not that great. It certainly furthered my career and everything. But when I'm thinking about a song or I never think about, oh wow, I would love for this to be a like not once has that passed through my
mhm,
mind. I'd love to get a Grammy for this because I
that's
just don't really hold Grammys in very high esteem. What I do hold in high, and it isn't that I wouldn't like to function at that level with the right people, but what I do hold in very high esteem is the writing process, the people I'm writing with, the people I'm mixing and producing and creating with. Like for me, that would be more like I want to work with so and so, or I want to work with so and so, not I want to get an award. It's
that's
about the
absolutely.
experience.
Yeah, for me now, I was again just last night. I was having this conversation. One of the most fun things to me is putting together certain musicians that may or may not play together otherwise. Like on
Hmm.
Ali's record, we had Gil Sharon, who plays drums for Marilyn Manson, and then I had Dave Monzi, like who plays with Fiona Apple, Paul Simon, Tedeschi Trucks. Having them, that's the rhythm section. How do they play off of each other?
Hmm.
Because they're not in the same band and they're kind of like, I just want to see like what's that combination of colors look like?
Right. What's that
That's what
dynamic?
becomes what, and then one responds to the other differently because they're not actually tracking together. Because I'm piecemealing the record together, which I love doing.
Uh-huh.
That's still my favorite way to work.
Huh.
Um,
Yeah.
as a producer, it's like this color goes with this color, this color. Sometimes you put everybody in the same room and you put them together. I actually don't prefer to work that way as
Uh-huh.
much.
Uh-huh.
Unless it's a band that's been touring for a year and you go, wow, we just need to capture that, whatever
Yes.
that is.
Yeah,
That
that
becomes
thing
more and
they.
more rare,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the fun part to me is back to that creation side of what are you going to put out. The award that's later. I want to
Yeah.
tell you this story because I've told people that know me, and maybe it's time for maybe to cover people listening to this. The awards are so ridiculous. You pay for your own awards a lot of the time. Long gone are the days of the record company calling you and saying, here's a big package for you. Yes, it does happen
Mm-hmm.
on some records where the record company says, send you a package and there's your plaque and all that stuff. This is how stupid the music business is. Um, I'm going through this right now with this record in Japan. Like
Uh-huh.
because it's in Japan, it's not the U.S. certification. The certification is literally that. It's a company that the RIAA that certifies that the record sold 500,000 or a million copies or
Mm-hmm.
10,000 video units or whatever it is. They
Mm-hmm.
literally certify that. It's called being certified. A company does it, then you pay for that seal. Um, but unless you're really high up the food chain or the artists themselves, these records can make millions of dollars. And then all the worker bees on the records, I got to pay $400 for my own plaque.
Yes, of
And
course. I
I've got
know.
to prove that I worked on that record, the certification. So they basically it's like getting a note from the
From your
doctor. Kevin
doctor.
actually worked on this record. Then you give it to the plaque making company, and then I pay for my own plaque.
Yeah.
That's not any different than people don't realize that the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame is the person pays for that themselves,
Right.
right? Like
Right.
Christina Applegate, who gets one, she paid for that for herself.
Yeah.
The town of Hollywood wouldn't come to that person and say, "Hey, Christina, we're going to give you a star." They
Right.
gave you permission to get a star, but
Yeah.
she paid for that herself.
Yeah.
I paid for there's plaques in the other room. I paid for myself. I'm in the middle of this. Like it's what 5 months later. I've got to
Hmm.
get product from the Japanese company for this label, so they got to send me the CD. So I got the CD so they can cut it up,
Hmm.
and then I got to get a company to basically make the plaque. And then this company is trying to get the certification from Japan to say, yeah, this is a gold record. Well, they can't do it because while we don't work with this company, I have to put this plaque together myself and pay for
It's
it.
just so funny.
But
The
that's
whole
not
thing.
just me. That's everyone.
I
Like
know.
me,
I
I'm on a
know.
thread now with
Oh
Tim
my God.
Palmer and then the drummer like Jimmy Paxton who plays he's out with
Mm.
he plays with Dixie Chicks and he's out with I want to say Keith Urban right now. He's out with some popular artist, but
Mhm.
that dude just played with Alanis and everybody, and we're on a and Brian Tichy who's played drums on that record. Brian Tichy plays for Ozzy and Whitesnake, and th- these are these are these are well
Serious
established
dudes. Yeah.
musicians, and
Yeah.
we're on a text thread going, "Did you figure out how to get this? I don't know. I just messaged so and so, but we can't get the product. Hey, let me know if you find out anything. Where are you going to get your plaque made? I don't know." And we're all like, "This may be the last plaque we ever get. They're really hard to get."
Right.
This is ongoing. Like on my
Yeah.
phone right now is a thread of like with guys going. And then eventually, a couple of people are like, "I just forget it. This is too much hassle.
Yeah.
I don't feel like spending the $400." Like
Hmm.
that's how stupid it is.
Yeah.
So
It
for the people
cracks
that
me up.
want them,
It's just funny.
it's but I will absolutely do it. Why?
Of
It's
course.
changed for it's changed. The why has changed for me now that it becomes
Okay.
when I die, there's something to pass on to
Okay.
my family member, and it will sit here for a little while.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's good to have the proof in your
Yeah,
studio. I mean, it's like social
yeah. I
proof,
mean, it's business. Now
That's a
we're back to what we said at the beginning. It's good for business. It's
yeah.
just good for business.
Yeah,
That's all.
absolutely. Well, this has been a really fun discussion. The music business always makes me laugh because it's so ridiculous. But it's what it is. So
It
I want
is.
to so thank you so much. And folks, by the way,
Thank you.
yeah, I want to tell people that Kevin is going to be, he can do so much more than this, but on the song that I've been going on about, Sugar Drip, he's going to be the recording engineer for the vocals, and I love working with him on vocals because his feedback is so correct and so instant and so appropriate. He's just really great to work with. We've done other, more full-on projects than that, and one in particular that hasn't been released, a few that haven't been released. He recorded the vocals on Max from the Future, which is a song that's here on my YouTube channel, and other songs, again, that have not yet been released. This is just about my stuff, that I just love working with him, and it's really fun to talk with him. Is there any way you want to point people to your work or just.
No, I'll put it back to you. What I would say is it's the same. This is your channel. It's fun working with you. And for the people that haven't heard Carrington's music, you should go check it out. It's always fun working on these projects. The excellent singer, knows all the parts, putting the harmonies together and making cool songs and crafting them. And with that sensibility of saying, hey, I'm going to do what I like. And the question that comes up many times in the studio, she's like, I don't know. Are people going to like this? What is this? What even type of music is this? Is it pop? Is it rock? Is it alternative? Who cares? She does it for herself, and that makes it more authentic. And you should absolutely go check it out. So that's what I would leave people with. Is it's been fun, and I love talking with you. And thank you for having me, along for the podcast that is ramble and prattle on about these ridiculousnesses of the
Okay.
music business.
Okay. Yeah, we enjoy it. All right. Well, I'll see you in the studio really soon, actually. So, yeah. Thank you, folks. This is Kevin Gutierrez, who's been with me today from Assembly Line Studios. I'm Carrington McDuffie. This is Starseeds of Freedom.